the most gentle that you can be on yourself, I think is really, really important. Movement is always going to make you feel better. The biggest thing is your hydration and making sure that you are hydrated. I was really craving that sense of community as well. Until you become a parent, you don't know. Being a parent, becoming a mother can just feel so isolating.
In this episode, we're going to talk about postpartum recovery, emotional wellness, and how movement helps moms to reconnect with their body, and not just moms, and also help babies with their development. I'm here with Charlene Dinger, who's the founder and the creative director of Kinisi Kids, a space that blends yoga, dance, music, and intentional movement to support moms and babies during the early years. Hi, Charlene. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello. Thank you so much for inviting me on. That was a beautiful introduction. Thank you. Yeah.
So when we talk about the postpartum phase, it's pretty much a roller coaster. So I remember I was telling you prior to the recording that it's been almost 9 months. My baby is 9 months, and I still feel that I'm still in postpartum phase because physically we're recovering, and then the hormones are all over the place, and there's self-doubt, identity crisis. So for a mom who's in her postpartum phase, and what does realistic return to movement look like?
Yeah, I think you described that so well. And I feel like it's not talked about enough, like all of those things, the hormones, that sense of like identity being lost. And a lot of the clients that I work with in my postpartum yoga classes that I do, we often have this conversation of like, what does it look like getting back to what I used to feel like when I was moving my body more? Or how do I get back to a certain time, right, before we had the baby? And in these conversations and through my sort of journey through postpartum, my son now is just over 2.5. I think the discovery became like, it might just look a little bit different. So you might not necessarily get back to the way you were moving before. You might not feel the same in your body because you grew and birthed an entire human. Like, things are going to shift and change. And so I think it's kind of reframing that to sort of be like, okay, what does it look like now? And definitely in those early days, just the most gentle that you can be on yourself, I think is really, really important. And what I offer to the moms that come in, especially with like 2-month-old, 3-month-old, it's really just about getting out of the house. Like, you made it out of the house. That's such a huge deal. Being on your mat and being there with your baby. And if all it looks like is you sitting on the mat and just breathing and just being present, like, that's great. And then whatever kind of unfolds from there, whatever movement does start to feel good, start to feel like, again, are just out and about and moving a little bit is good. So I think just gentle, slow, and, for other people, it might be like, I want to dive right back into it. And so I would suggest making sure that that's okay with your doctor, like checking in, making sure that everything is in place and is strong enough to be able to start moving in a more dynamic way. And you just take it as you go, baby steps.
I remember, for me, prior to the pregnancy, I was doing all the yoga. But after giving birth, maximum movement was just putting her to sleep, walking around and just putting her to sleep.
Yeah.
And also there's a pressure to bounce back. Yeah. Also, should we blame social media for it? Partially, yes.
I believe so, yep.
Because we see all these moms like completely back to normal after 6 weeks postpartum. And it's just a myth. I do not believe in the 6 weeks postpartum phase. So I guess it's all about taking it slow. Like you said, like listen to the body.
Yeah.
Not to pressurize. And the next part is also the breastfeeding part. So for a mom who's exclusively breastfeeding, her entire day revolves around the feeding schedule.
Yep.
So if she wants to go out, it's like, oh my God, I need to be back in another hour or 20, 30 minutes because I need to feed the baby.
Yeah.
So how can they include movement?
Yeah. I mean, I will say, like, if you can find those communities and those spaces where it should be okay for you to breastfeed your baby wherever, in my opinion, it's, when I invite moms into my space in my classes, that is always an option. You don't have to leave your mat. You don't have to leave the space. Like you can soothe your baby or you can change your baby. You can feed your baby right there. So if that is an option for you, obviously it's so great to be able to connect with other moms and be with a community. But if that's not an option or you can't make it out, again, I think anything that feels like natural for you, if it's something that you did incorporate into your movement practices before, maybe it's still that, but maybe it's just kind of like taken down a notch, or it's just, it's modified. And we're in the age now where we can like pop onto YouTube, or there's lots of different apps. Something that I've been thinking about too is like having some kind of postnatal online offering as well, because, there are the moms that like can't make it out, right? Or in the middle of winter where, especially downtown Toronto, or, the sidewalks are not clear, you can't push a stroller down the sidewalk. And so moms are hesitant to also like leave and have to deal with all of that. So yeah, I think if you can kind of find those things that work for you, whether it's an online class or if it's, just a way that you kind of feel familiar to you, but it's still gentle enough that it feels good. And like walking around, like going for a walk outside, if that's safe to do so. I live in a condo, so like if I couldn't get outside, I would just get out and walk around the condo floor. So anything that just gently gets you moving again, movement is always going to make you feel better.
No, it's so true, because I remember there was a time where I felt like it was so claustrophobic. I wanted to step out. And thankfully, she was born in the month of April. So we were moving towards summer. So also we have a dog. Okay. So while taking the dog for a walk, it's pretty much moving the stroller and then the dog, it helped a lot.
Yeah.
Another concern which a lot of breastfeeding moms might have is they as such lose a lot of calories, 400 to 500 calories through breastfeeding. So they often have a self-doubt if they have the energy to do it.
Right.
So how can they prepare themselves, like be it nutrition or hydration? How can they prepare prior to enrolling or prior to coming to the class?
Yeah. Well, I'm not a nutritionist. However, just, from my experience in the fitness and the wellness world and being a mom that I did breastfeed for a few months, I think the biggest thing is your hydration and making sure that you are hydrated. And it's so easy for me to say that too, but it's also so easy for us to forget, especially in those early months where you don't know your name, you don't know where you are, and it's like, oh, I need to drink some water. I need to caffeinate. I think, replacing those like electrolytes, like just making sure that you're nourishing yourself with really, really good foods that are going to fill you, that are going to give you that energy that you need. And I always liked to make, some like energy ball bites with like dates and all of those like nourishing foods that are also going to help with your production as well. Yeah, so I would say that. And again, just finding the things that work for you. We make it seem like it's like, oh, I'm breastfeeding, I'm a breastfeeding mom, but it's like everyone's journey is so individual and so different. And whatever support that you can get, will make your life easier. Having those snacks handy, having your water bottle filled, whoever is around that can support you with that, whether it's your partner, a parent, someone that can support you with that and maybe cook you some meals. I was so grateful to have my mom around when I was pregnant and just having those meals prepared. So making sure you're really taking care of yourself.
Yeah. No, even I was fortunate because my parents had come from India and also my in-laws live close by. So I had the support system to, even when I forget, they are like, you need to drink some water. So stay hydrated. So that's really important. Also snacks here, because I also came across a dietitian. I've been following a dietitian online, and what she does is she just fills a bottle the before night and keeps it next to her such that the next day
you're drinking right away.
She keeps herself hydrated.
Yes, that's great.
And talking about, like, we spoke about stepping out and getting some fresh air, so which is really important, especially in the postpartum phase. So how important is having a community that the moms can lean towards.
Huge. I mean, that was a really big part of me starting my business as well, because I was really craving that sense of community as well. And, I was like, oh, how come I didn't know about all of these like mommy classes that I could have done? But until you become a parent, you don't know, right? And so that sense of community is so important, because being a parent, becoming a mother can just feel so isolating. It really does feel sometimes, especially at those 3 a.m., wake ups and you're feeding, and it just feels like you're the only person on earth that is doing this. You're not. Like, I think there's an app now where you can like find out where the other moms are all over the world that are awake, that are like breastfeeding right now. Like, you like check in or something like that. And I was like, that's brilliant, because it just being able to know that you're not the only one, as much as sometimes like the group chats can get overwhelming, I think having those communities where, you feel safe enough to be able to like ask the questions and just feel not alone, I think it's really, really important. So whether, again, that's like a group that you go to, a class that you go to, something virtual, or it's, the mom chat that you have, just finding those places where you can find that connection and just know that you're not alone in it is really important.
Right.
Yeah.
No, so I remember, because my postpartum phase was also bad. So I used to vent it out to my husband. So back then, and he would try to console me, but that did not help.
Yeah.
So I wanted to hear it from someone who went through the process.
Yeah.
So I'm a part of like few of the Facebook mom groups.
Yes.
And it's been really helpful to see. And what kind of changes do you see in moms who attend your classes with their babies?
Yeah, there's always some really beautiful growth that I see, and really beautiful connections. Like, there have been moms that, come and meet in my class, and after, their babies kind of grow out of it, like, I know that they still stay connected, and there have been some really beautiful friendships that have blossomed from some of those classes. And then I think just on, like personally for those moms, feedback anyways that I've had is like, this class and this community just really, it just made me feel so much less alone again, right? Like, I really just needed somewhere to go and somewhere to be with other moms. And again, whether that was them just coming to the class and soothing their baby the whole time, it might not have been, they might not have actually gotten any yoga postures in, but that would never matter. It was always just like, I just wanted to be here. I just wanted to be with my friends, with the other moms. I just needed some kind of interaction. And like you said, like, not just with my partner, or not just, with like my friends, like with other moms, because they get it, And so again, if you can find those places and those spaces, which was why it was so important for me to create a space like that, where moms could just come and just feel seen and feel heard, and there's no judgment, those are the places that you really want to find.
Right. Yeah. And just a personal question. How did you come up with the name Kinisi?
Yeah. It's the Greek, Kinisi is the Greek word for movement. And I lived in the UK for 7 years. And while I was there, I had a dance company called Kinisi Dance Company. So moving back to Canada, back to Toronto, I started to teach dance again, like competitive elite dance, and I adjudicate dance competitions. So I always, in the back of my mind, knew that I wanted to start something of my own that had to do with like the early years and dance, yoga. And so when I had the idea again to start my business, like, Kinisi came back up, and I really loved the alliteration of the two Ks together. So that's where it came from. So it was kind of like I brought a little piece of what was such an important part of my life while I was in London, like that dance company and all of the people that I met through it. It was a nice way to kind of like infuse that back into like sort of the next generation of movers, if you will. So
it's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
So all the postpartum or moms who are in the prime postpartum phase listening to this episode and they want to start somewhere but they do not know where.
Yeah.
So what do you want them to know?
Well, I think again, movement is so natural for us. And again, I think it's really important. It's so easy for me to say oh, just listen to your body. But I think finding the experts in whatever you're looking for, whether it's a gentle yoga class or if you're wanting to kind of get back into a more dynamic fitness practice, it's finding those experts that can help you, especially with your postpartum body and that recovery. So there's a lot of great people out there. And I think calling upon those mom chats and those groups that you're part of and asking for those referrals and finding the people that, have done the classes before and can recommend those people to you. But again, whether it's, just also getting down on the floor with your baby, if that's a possibility for you, those things are also part of your movement practice, right? And you can do a lot with the baby. And, that's what I love about those postnatal yoga classes. It's so fun to bring the baby into the postures as well. But just knowing that, again, your journey is so individual and it really is yours. There's no rush. And there is no bounce back. Again, I think it's really hard sometimes to accept as well, especially I practiced yoga, I lifted weights, I exercised through my entire pregnancy. And then it just felt different and it still feels different today. My body doesn't feel the same. And so it's taken time for me to be able to accept that, especially because my entire life, pre-pregnancy, I moved in a certain way and I could feel my body in a certain way. And so when those things change, I think it's important to realize that there is a shift, right? There's an ebb and a flow. But yeah, there's people out there that you can refer to for sure.
Yeah, so it's all about taking it slow, those baby steps and listening to the body.
I think so, yeah.
Yes. This pretty much brings us to the end of part 1, where we spoke about how movement is going to help moms in their postpartum phase. So it's not about intensity or timeline. It's all about connection and reconnecting with your body. So in the next episode, part 2, we are going to discuss about how movement is going to help babies. So how it helps the bonding time with the mom. So stay tuned. Thank you.